3 Horses. Video lesson by Vladimir London.
In this video lesson, you'll discover how to paint horses in watercolor.
Here is the finished artwork that I will achieve by the end of this video. This watercolor painting was exhibited at the International Watercolor Exhibition in Dubai, United Arab Emirates, where I participated as the United Kingdom member of the International Watercolor Society. I took the inspiration for this artwork from one corrida in Spain, where a beautiful, talented and hard-working Leia Vicens demonstrated her skills of riding horses and fighting bulls in front of the eyes of so many very impressed spectators. She had worked so hard for so many years in order to achieve mastery, and now she is at the top of her league. I will now show and explain how I created this artwork, starting with the underpainting, which was done wet into wet. A sheet of high-quality 100% cotton watercolor paper is already stretched on the wooden board, and I am preparing a couple of colors, including burnt umber and Payne's grey. Since I will be using the wet into wet painting technique, I must prepare the paper surface first. To preserve the white horse in the middle, I apply water with a flat, natural hair paintbrush along the outline of the horse. The horse on the right-hand side is fully covered with clean water. After this, I load the burnt umber paint onto the round brush and add this mix into the wet area, starting from the border between dry and wet surfaces. The mix of this brown paint is quite light in tone. This is because I am planning to paint this artwork in layers, and this first wash is the underpainting. The purpose of an underpainting is to give a tonal foundation for the future artwork, hence why I am not interested in colors at this step, but in tonal values. I now use a smaller synthetic paintbrush to paint darker tones of the horse's neck and head. At this step, I am not interested in small details. It is more important to depict big shapes. For this underpainting, I want brushstrokes to have softly diffused borders, hence why I am painting on the wet surface. So far, I have used only one color, burnt umber. Since this is not a monochrome artwork, it is time to add colder Payne's grey to this painting. It is also painted wet into wet to indicate the shadow areas. Because, for now, I am using only 2 colors, brown and dark blue, it is very easy to decide where each color should go. This is the outdoor scenery, which is lit by warm sunlight. So I am using the warm brown color for all light and mid-tone values, and when it comes to the shadows, the cold dark blue color is used. Such a very simple division of warm and cold colors makes the painting process much easier. By now, the paper surface is dry, So I wet the entire surface of the watercolor paper sheet with clean water, using a flat, wide synthetic brush. The painted area is also covered in water. I now change the painting style to more impressionistic, making wide diagonal brush strokes with a flat brush. Such freehand brush strokes add dynamism to this artwork. I am using a light tint of burnt umber, which is applied without any attention to the underdrawing. The wide strokes span across all three horses and the background. In order to make the underpainting more saturated in color, I add raw sienna paint. Its bright and warm yellow-brown color creates an impression of the arena, with yellow sand lit by sunlight. I also introduce another earth pigment into this artwork, red ochre. It is also painted wet into wet, and the brush strokes borders spread out, becoming softer on the wet paper surface. I apply this pigment with a flat paintbrush, which holds less water than the equal width round brush. This is a really good painting tool to keep the water balance under control. Alternatively, if I were to load more water onto the brush, the paint will end up running down in streams uncontrollably. In order to perform this step of the exercise, the wooden board is tilted at about 15 degrees, allowing gravity to be my co-creator. Therefore, should I make the brush too wet, paint will end up flowing down. I am adding the red ochre paint between the horses, creating an impression of a warmer, abstract background. While the paper surface is still wet, I am using the wiping off technique to remove some of the pigment from the paper surface. For the best results, this should be done with a clean, damp brush, which wipes off the pigment from the paper more easily. After this step, I thoroughly dry this artwork. By now, the paper surface is fully dry, and to continue painting wet into wet, I first apply clean water with a soft, wide synthetic brush, making very gentle brush strokes, ensuring that I do not dilute and wash out already painted pigments. When the paper surface is moistened once again, I continue painting wet into wet. In this step, I would like to add some shadow areas and add texture to the background. For this purpose, I use the dark blue Payne's Grey paint. This pigment is also applied with a flat brush, but this time I load slightly more water than previously for the brush strokes to diffuse softly. The dark, cold paint is also used for the cast shadows under the horses. As previously, I do not pay too much attention to the linear drawing. It is about big masses of soft shadows, not the precision of lines. The dark bluish-grey colour works very well for shadow areas of the horses. It gives a strong light and dark contrast, as well as the contrast between cold and warmer colours. For more information, colour theory is explained and demonstrated in depth in multiple videos of the Watercolor Academy course. With the underpainting in place, I will now paint wet on dry. So far, the underpainting, which was done wet into wet, doesn't look much like three horses. At this stage, the artwork is rather impressionistic. It solves the question of where warm and cold colours are, and also indicates the locations of dark and light tonal values. However, it does not describe the composition and design in detail. This is what I will do in the second half of this artwork, continuing to paint wet on dry. In fact, what I am doing is not actually painting, but drawing in colour with the paintbrush. This resembles the wash and outline watercolour painting technique. This technique is fully described and illustrated in multiple video lessons of the Watercolor Academy course. Since what I am doing is drawing rather than painting, the end result will very much depend on my drawing skills. As they say, a good painting is well drawn. If you feel that your drawing skills have to be improved, you can check the Drawing Academy online course. In this course, you will learn how to draw whatever you see or imagine, using constructive drawing principles, rules of perspective, composition, golden proportions, proficient techniques of tonal rendering, and much more. In this drawing course, you can also rely on unlimited personal support from the Academy tutors, which includes critique of your artworks at no extra cost. In the Drawing Academy, you will have a lifetime membership and can study at your own pace in the comfort of your own home. Coming back to this artwork, you can see that I am depicting small details using a dark blue pigment, which is Payne's grey. The correct sequence of making a watercolor artwork is by painting it, starting from light areas, and progressing to dark tones. The light tonal values of the horses are already in place, so all that is left is to add mid-tones and dark tonal values. This is where the theory of tonal values becomes very handy, particularly as any three-dimensional object, for example a sphere, will have different tonal values depending on the direction of light. Such tonal values can be divided into three groups: light, mid-tones, and dark tones. Each group can be further subdivided. For example, light includes highlight, light, and local light, whereas the mid-tones have light halftone, middle halftone, and dark halftone. In turn, the dark values group can be subdivided into core shadow, form shadow, and the accent. Note that this classification is subjective and may vary from one art school to another. Nevertheless, as we return to the artwork, we find all of those values as well. Each part of the horse's body has one or another tonal value. For example, here is the light, Here is the shadow, and here is the reflected light. I would like to point to your attention that, although the reflected light is in shadow, it is not cold in this artwork. Instead, it is depicted with warm colour. This is because such light is reflected by the orange background and the yellow-brown arena. To create the texture of the horse coat, I am painting it with a dry brush. The term dry brush does not literally mean that the brush is totally dry. In fact, it is moist. While I am not able to squeeze a single drop of water from its belly, some of the moisture remains on the brush. The paint on the palette is also moist, but not dripping wet. I pick up the paint from the palette with the tip of the brush and touch the paper surface with the brush very lightly. Such short and light brush strokes create the texture that I would like to have for the horse coat. For the thin lines and smaller details, I am using a smaller round brush. To allow an artwork to appear more realistic, you have to keep in mind and apply the rules of aerial perspective. The aerial perspective describes how objects appear depending on their proximity to a viewer. According to its rules, far-away objects are lighter in tone, cooler in color, have less visible details, and less contrast. On the contrary, objects in the foreground have stronger contrast, darker and warmer colors, and all details are better defined. An aerial perspective happens because the atmosphere influences the appearance of objects. It is very important to indicate this perspective in landscape artworks. Of course, you will not see in real life an aerial perspective on a shallow object such as a horse's body. Nevertheless, as an artist, you have full creative license to depict not only what you see, but what you know. Therefore, since you know the rules of aerial perspective, you can paint the horse's head more defined, with more details, and in higher contrast than its hind legs. For example, the horse on the left-hand side is fully complete, but you can see that I didn't emphasize every part of its body with the same attention. The head, the neck, and the front legs are all more defined than the rest of the body. This is not accidental, but done on purpose to create an illusion of an aerial perspective and to give three-dimensional depth to this animal. All three horses are now complete. All that is left to finish in this artwork is to add cast shadows beneath the horse's legs. I didn't use many different colors in this artwork. This painting was done with only 4 pigments. This artwork doesn't lack color. It demonstrates that even with a very limited palette, it is possible to achieve a very creative work of art. As I am happy with the result, I therefore sign this artwork now. In a minute it will be ready for the International Watercolor Exhibition. Here is the finished watercolor painting. I hope you have learned new things about how to paint in watercolor.
Do you want to discover secrets of making realistic watercolors? Do you want to improve your painting skills? There are many watercolor know-hows, including color theory, knowledge of materials, different methods, and techniques. Reinventing all this knowledge can be a daunting task. Unless you have someone with great skills and experience who can show you the trade secrets, you may spend years learning on your own. If you want to learn watercolor painting in the fast and easy way, Watercolor Academy is for you. Here, you'll discover the professional ways of painting that will help you to raise your art skills to the advanced level. There are many watercolor courses, but this academy is different. Here, you'll learn advanced techniques for using watercolors, as well as trade secrets that are not taught anywhere else. Unlike in contemporary art colleges, the Academy teachers will create watercolor artworks in front of your eyes, while explaining all you need to know about how to mix colors and how to apply them the right way. You'll see the complete process of making watercolor artworks. At Watercolor Academy, you'll discover what watercolor is and its place in the history of arts, how to choose good watercolor materials, fundamental know-how of color theory, rules of composition and golden proportions, how to transfer drawings, how to mix pigments, how to make quick sketches and long studies in watercolor, how to use 5 different watercolor painting methods, how to use 9 different painting techniques, how to create monochrome and 2-color artworks, how to make full-color artworks with only 3 primary colors, how to make multicolored watercolor paintings, how to paint landscapes, seascapes, and cityscapes, how to make botanical and animalistic artworks, how to paint still lifes and pattern designs, how to paint realistic portraits, how to paint figurative artworks, and much more. There are 2 courses at Watercolor Academy: the online course, a self-study, self-paced course where you can learn how to paint in watercolor by watching video lessons and doing proposed assignments, and the correspondence course, where in addition to video lessons, you'll also receive personal one-on-one tutoring from the Academy teachers. As a Watercolor Academy student, you'll get a lifetime membership and unlimited personal support. You can study at your own pace in the comfort of your home. Our personal support includes your artwork's critique, while personal tutoring offers up to 100 watercolor painting tasks that will be guided step by step by the Academy tutors. Personal support and tutoring will be custom tailored to your level of skills and needs. It is very easy to study at Watercolor Academy online course. Just sit back, relax, and play the video lessons in order. You can pause the video at any time and make notes about methods and techniques. You'll get all you need to know with no extra work on your end. In the correspondence course, your art skills will be assessed and a special curriculum will be created just for you. A dedicated team of art teachers will give you in-depth tutoring so you can raise your painting skills to the advanced level. In this academy, you'll see video lessons by 4 professional artists and art teachers: Vladimir London, Natalie Ricci, Ilya Ibrov, and Anna Ivanova, who will show you their secrets of painting. All tutors are full-time fine artists who participated in numerous art exhibitions and won international art awards. Their combined art experience spans over 100 years, and today you can benefit from their extensive artistic knowledge. At Watercolor Academy, as an online course student, you'll receive lifetime membership, 80 video lessons on how to paint in watercolor, personal support, answers to your art questions, critique of your artworks, members-only newsletter, place in the online students gallery, diploma of excellence upon completing the course. As a correspondence course student, you'll receive all that's included into the online course: a dedicated team of art tutors, personal tutoring by Academy teachers, assessment of your current level of art skills, custom-tailored watercolor painting curriculum, up to 100 watercolor painting tasks, detailed instructions on how to do every task, review of your progress on the by-task basis. Here's how you'll benefit from Watercolor Academy. You'll learn the comprehensive information about color theory and watercolor materials that will help you to paint with beautiful colors and avoid mistakes when mixing pigments. You'll learn how to paint in chiaroscuro, which will help you to create lifelike artworks. You'll discover master secrets and traditional painting methods and techniques that will widen your range of painting abilities. You'll discover how to paint whatever you can see or imagine in a realistic manner using either limited or full palette of colors. You'll receive direct access to Watercolor Academy tutors and get personal support and critique of your art. Understanding a professional know-hows of watercolor painting will help you to improve your art skills, create better pieces, attract more commissions at higher prices, and earn recognition. Here's how our students' painting skills improve. You can see that after watching the Watercolor Academy video lessons and following our personal tutoring, our students really get what it takes to paint in watercolor the professional way. Your watercolor painting skills will improve as well. Here's what our students say. In just 1 month, I've learned more about painting with watercolors than in 4 years at an art college. I could only wish of enrolling in the Watercolor Academy earlier. Sam P. Painting portraits has always been the most difficult thing for me. It's amazing how Watercolor Academy teachers made this topic so easy to follow. Daniel. I was painting for years with little progress before I took the watercolor correspondence course. This was the best decision for improving my art skills. Pauline. Thank you, Watercolor Academy teachers. I've learned so much from you. I now work as an illustrator, sell my artworks, and plan my first watercolor exhibition. Lena. Watercolor Academy delivers great value. Each of the 80 video lessons is worth $100, totaling $8,000 in value. However, today you can get the complete course for only $297. This is less than the price of only 3 videos. If you learn the best under personal guidance, the Watercolor Academy Correspondence course is for you. In this course, you'll learn much more than at any contemporary art college. We have limited capacity, and when places are filled, we will suspend the enrollment or put the course price to its real value, $18,000. This is your unique chance of getting unlimited professional tutoring for only $997. Learn all you need to know about watercolor painting easily. Click the Enroll Now button below. Don't wait. It's time to take action. You are just one click away from discovering the secrets of watercolor painting. After a payment, you'll be directed to the account setup page and will receive full access to all the video lessons immediately. Click the Enroll button below now. Watercolor Academy delivers the great value, but the price will go up in the future. Take full advantage of this introductory offer right now. See you in a couple of minutes after you've set up your account.